Hey guys, I'm Tiffany,
I'm Stephanie,
and we are Sisters
Sisters
of
of the
the
South.
South, back with another true crime story for you today. But before we get started, we just want to remind everyone to please hit that like button if you like our videos, subscribe for more true crime content every week, and if you hit that little notification bell, you will know when your favorite sisters are back with another story. Also, we need to give a special shout out to our friends over at SoFly.
Hey,
SoFly.
not so small.
Not no more.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Stephanie tell you all about them now.
SoFly is a family-owned company here in the Houston, Texas area, and what they specialize is in embroidery and in lasering. So what they'll do is they will take an accessory such as a tumbler, a cap, a hoodie, a purse, a jacket, and they will specialize it to your needs. They have different colors. They have different types of designs. Just let them know what you need and they'll take care of that for you. We know that you'll be happy because we get our merchandise done for them, but we want to show you a little bit about what they do. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Go check them out. Let them know we sent you. And if you buy something, send us a picture. We'd love to see it. And we will put their information down in the description box. So now I'm going to let Stephanie take over.
Yeah, so today, guys, we are going to talk about a family annihilator that we've all heard the story over and over and over for the past 7 years. And to be honest with you, we kind of hesitated to bring this story to the forefront, but found it was necessary considering we're going to be in Denver, Colorado this month for CrimeCon. And we dedicated all of our stories to the Colorado area for the month of September. And how can you do any stories, true crime, without talking about Shanann and Chris Watts? So I spent a lot of time writing this story. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long ride, so hang tight. But let's go over the timeline one more time. I know that a lot of channels do that, and I understand it, and it gets old sometimes, but
It's necessary.
it's necessary because we all have our own opinions, and it's something that we're always going to have an opinion on because it is so horrific. The story of this man who had seemingly a perfect life, who just woke up one day, essentially, and just took his wife and both of his beautiful daughters and his unborn child off the earth. And it tends to wreak havoc on the mind when you're looking at your spouse and thinking you have the perfect life, the perfect marriage, they love you, and you think, is there something going on in their mind that I don't know about? And so that's what makes this story so horrific. So if you would just entertain us a little bit and give us some time. Let's go over this timeline one more time and let's talk about it. Leave your comments in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your theories because there's so many people and so many things that we need to go over in this story. So here we go. In the early hours of August 13th, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, 33-year-old Christopher Lee Watts, born May 16th, 1985, murdered his pregnant wife, Shanann, 34, by strangulation, and their two children, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, by suffocation. He buried Shanann and their unborn child in a shallow grave near an oil storage facility and dumped his children's bodies into crude oil tanks separately. Watts initially maintained his innocence in his family's disappearance, but was arrested on August 15th, 2 days later, after confessing in an interview with detectives to murdering Shanann. He said that this was the result of Shanann killing Bella and Cece after an emotional conversation the two had. Months later, he retracted this statement and admitted to also murdering his children. On November 6, 2018, Watts pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder as part of a plea deal when the death penalty which was later abolished in Colorado in 2020, was removed from sentencing. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, 3 to be served consecutively. Christopher Lee Watts and Shanann Catherine Rusek were from North Carolina. Christopher from Spring Lake and Shanann from Aberdeen. They met in 2010 and were married in Mecklenburg County on November 3rd, 2012. The couple had 2 daughters, Bella, which they called Bells, which I think is so adorable.
Yeah.
And her name was Bella Marie Watts. She was born December 17th, 2013. And Celeste Catherine, and they called her CC Watts, July 17th, 2015. At the time of her death, Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with a boy who was to be named Nico. Nico was actually going to be Nico Lee Watts after
so
his
cute.
father and his grandfather. The Watts family lived in a 5-bedroom home at 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick, Colorado, which they purchased in May of 2013 for just under $399,000 and lived there for 5 years, maintaining a picture-perfect image of a happy family until August 13th, 2018. The family declared bankruptcy in 2015. Christopher was employed by Anadarko Petroleum, while Shanann worked from home, selling a product called Thrive for a multi-level marketing company named Lavelle. By all accounts, Shanann was very successful in her job with a drive to be the best at what she did. Of course, none of this came without a cost. She was upbeat, a multitasker, a mother of 2.5, and a wife. She gloated and doted on her children and on Chris. It seems as though the videos I have watched that she put everyone ahead of herself so she could maintain her responsibilities to her family. And, now social media is just saturated with all of her videos.
Yeah.
And she was very uplifting. She was very transparent about the different trials that she had met during her life. And she always seemed to be the type of person that was trying to figure out a way to be better every day. Now, when you hear her friends talk, they like to call her bossy, and she was driven and all of those things, but they would always say it wasn't in a negative way. It was in a very positive way. She liked to keep people moving, keep people going, and she liked to set goals and to meet those goals and then move forward to the next step. So Shanann was very extremely driven. On social media, the couple seemed like they had a perfect marriage, but Chris had been secretly seeing a coworker telling her that he and his wife were in the process of separating. And, this is the saddest part about this story is in walks in another woman that in the beginning, she thinks that they're separated, but still living in the same house. Where most of us, I'm older, so that would automatically be a red flag.
Yep.
But this young lady was younger, and she probably really liked Chris, so she wasn't going to ask a whole lot of questions. She just liked what she liked, and he took it upon himself to lie about the situation and took full advantage of the circumstances. So over that summer, Shanann noticed that Chris was growing increasingly distant and desperately tried to save their relationship. When she returned from a business trip on the morning of August 13th, 2018, she and Chris got into a fight, which ended with Shanann being strangled and their 2 daughters smothered to death. Despite Chris's waning affections due to his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, nothing seemed to explain why he killed his family. This is the full timeline of this horrifying case. Now, keep in mind, we'll go back just a minute. Shanann came back from a business trip on August 13th, but she actually had left back in July and spent like 5.5, 6 weeks with her family in North Carolina without Chris. And then Chris flew in for like 7 days, and then they flew back together. Then fast forward a couple of days after they came back, then she flies to Arizona. So they had gone like 5 to 6 weeks living apart and doing their own thing. She's visiting family, doing her thing, and Chris is back in Colorado living his life as a single man, doing his own thing with Nicole Kessinger at this point in time.
Right.
So he's getting a little bit of taste of what it would be like without his wife and his children.
And she cramped his style.
Well, he probably decided at that point, Shanann and the kids are just too much for me, and I would much rather it be like this. And he just couldn't imagine going back to the way it was prior to his relationship with Nicole
Which is just
Kessinger.
sad because most of us can't imagine. I mean, even if you get divorced, you can't imagine being away from your children.
Right.
It's the children. I mean, of course, I don't want him to kill his wife, but your
No.
children?
And
I'll never understand that.
he seemingly, in every video you watch him in, and in everything that everyone said that knew him, was such a great father.
Right.
He just lavished love and patience upon his children, and he seemed to dote on them and care for them in such a kind and sweet way. So watching the videos, you can't imagine that man doing anything to harm these two beautiful little girls.
Yeah, what flipped the switch?
Right. What flipped the switch? And I think that's the biggest question, other than who was involved in this with Chris. Okay. Was there somebody else?
Right.
The other question is, okay, we don't condone you killing your wife, but why the kids?
Yeah.
We don't condone any, but why the kids?
Yeah.
So the timeline goes as this. On June 11th, 2018, Shanann records videos of her surprising her husband with the news that she's pregnant with their third child. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen this video. I'm sure you have. If you're tuning in, I'm sure you've seen a bunch. But have you seen that video?
Yep.
Where she's got the "Oops, we did it again" t-shirt, and she always made sure to make that a special occasion when she surprised him with "Oops, we're pregnant again." And it is so awkward the way he walks in and he just stiffens up and just acts so awkward, right? The whole encounter. And you can tell by Shanann's voice she seems to be a little annoyed.
Well,
Because
of course.
because when he sees the pink, he's like, "Oh, so does this mean we're having girls again?" Right? And she's like, "No, that's just the test." Like, dumbass, you should already know this. How many
This is
kids
the
have we
third
had?
one.
Like, what? So, you could tell there was a little bit of pointed contention in that, even though him and Shanann had planned to have this third baby. He wanted a boy. He brought it to her, wanting her to have one. She wasn't ready. And then once she decided to be ready, then they moved forward. But mind you, I think it was the day prior to that is when him and Nicole decided to really start talking.
Right.
Okay.
He had something else on his mind.
So now he's like, what the hell? Right. So you can tell he's thinking real hard in his head. You can tell he's not ecstatic about it. So on June 14th, 2018, Shanann records a video of Bella 4 singing a song about how much she loves her dad. Bella sings in the video, "My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. He helps me snuggle too. He reads me books. He ties my shoes. You're a hero through and through. Daddy, daddy, I love you." And it's such, oh my gosh, it's such a sweet video. How innocent and how much she adores her father. I mean, just truly. And it just breaks me up every time I see her sing that, because she had no idea the horror that he was going to put her through. Very, very soon, like within 2 months of this little song that she shared for her daddy. June 14th, 2018, Chris enters coworker Nicole Kessinger's contact information into his phone. Kessinger would later become his mistress. Kessinger said she started dating Watts seriously at the end of June 2018. I mean, they just literally started talking
Right.
June 14th, which is mid-June. So within 2 weeks, she starts dating Watts seriously. Like, really? Who gets serious in 2 weeks with a man who's still living in the basement of his married life, right? He's still with his wife in the same house, supposedly sleeping in the basement. At some point, with some sort of maturity and some sort of, conscience, you would say, hey, why don't you wrap this relationship up and then come talk to me later?
I'll be here when you're ready. Yeah,
Yeah,
red flags everywhere,
right?
all over it.
So to me, it's just, but within 2 weeks, that's another thing.
Uh,
Was he love bombing her? This guy, and mind you, it
2
looks
weeks is like nothing.
nothing, nothing. I mean, heck, I've been married to my husband for
You don't even
21
remember.
years, been together 25, and there's days that he'll come up with something, tell me something. I'm like, I didn't know that about you. What are you talking about? And we're talking decades with each other. So 2 weeks is nothing. And so I'm it just blows my mind that they moved so fast and that he was willing just to throw everything away in like 2 weeks time. It's crazy to me.
Well, you almost have to wonder, was there something in his mind to begin with that he was drawn away so easily? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because if you're not looking for something else, you're not going to find it that easily. And in
Right.
2 weeks, he obviously had some of this in his mind to begin with.
Well, Chris Watts, in an interview that was done in February of 2019, he speaks to some detectives that came in just to try to reconcile their own thought process of this case. And he tells them, look, I was not comfortable with being myself with Shanann. She was, we go back to, bossy, and, she wouldn't let me be myself and this and that. And, you know, so obviously he wasn't even comfortable in his own skin. If he was comfortable in his own skin and Shanann wouldn't let him be who he is, he would have felt obligated to say, look, obviously we have some conflict here. This is who I am. You're either going to have to accept it or we're going to have to figure out if we're going to move forward with this relationship. And yes, you have 2 children, but you got to start talking about it sometime, and start working on it or get some counseling. But if I've been in a marriage, my first marriage, where I didn't feel like I could be myself. Every time I tried to be myself, that person would put me down and make me feel less than. I learned early on that that's narcissistic behavior, first of all. But I would say, look, this is who I am. This is how I feel. Obviously, it's a problem for you because it's not a problem for me. And it caused conflict constantly. So I can understand being on edge under that, but you have to talk about it.
Well, yeah, you're miserable. I've been in a
Yes.
relationship like that. I
Yeah.
had to get out. Like, I'm not myself. I'm not comfortable. I can't do this.
Yeah. You
You
don't
leave.
you don't turn around and annihilate your whole family because of that. Even if someone else makes you feel more than, you still just walk away.
Well, and that's the thing is he found someone that was going to lift him up and put him on that pedestal he felt like he needed to be on.
Well, I don't think Chris was confrontational, but in that situation, that's not being confrontational. That's being mentally mature, right?
He's not confrontational, but he's not comfortable over here. He's going to be looking for it somewhere else, right?
Yes,
He's just not going to deal with this problem until he has to.
right.
And obviously, he found someone that made him feel like
Well, she didn't have kids. She
Shanann
didn't
didn't.
have the stress of
Well,
bills
yeah,
and
it's always
laundry
easier
and,
when they don't
you
have
know,
the, life
but he's
connected to
not
them.
mentally mature enough to pick up on that. And it's so aggravating because it's like, come on, Chris, seriously? Like,
So what do you think he was going to do? Kill his family and get rid of them, marry her, have a family, kill them and get rid of them? Eventually, she's going
right.
to want a family.
Well, eventually you got to step up and be a man.
Well, apparently he
Or
just has a problem doing that.
or you're just going to find yourself in this merry-go-round of crap, you know?
Life happens, man.
It does. So on June 17th, 2018, sometime around this date, Chris tells Kessinger he is married and has kids, but is in the process of separating. Kessinger later told police. On Father's Day, Shanann writes a tribute to her husband on Facebook. Shanann wrote, Chris, we are so incredibly blessed to have you. You do so much every day for us and take such great care of us. You are the reason I was brave enough to agree to number 3. I mean, bless her
Okay.
heart. I mean, this man talked her into it,
Yeah.
literally, right? So on June 19th, 2018, Shanann shares a picture from her first ultrasound on Facebook, adding that her husband is the best dad us girls could ask for. June 27th, 2018, Shanann takes Bella and Celeste to North Carolina for a 5-week vacation while her husband stays at home and works
Oh,
and
I'm sure he
plays
got a
single man.
lot of work done.
Oh yeah, he did. He burnt the candle at both ends for those 5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That man was busy. Okay. So on July the 4th, 2018, Kessinger goes to Chris's house for the first time to set up his diet and weight loss exercise goals, as she later told police. According to police documents, he invited her to his home. He cooked lunch, they ate, and she left. But Watts told a different story to investigators in February of 2019. He said he woke up at Kessinger's home on the morning of July 4th to several missed calls from his wife. He said he told Kessinger he needed to go home in case his wife called back and that Kessinger got mad, realizing that she would always be the other person and that he would put his wife first. He told investigators she told him it would be the best if they didn't see each other for the rest of the day, but later invited him back to her house. So, what do you expect, Nicole? Like, first of all, Shanann should be number 1. And when he
Yeah.
leaves her, then you can be number 1. What part of that I don't understand she didn't get? And why are you putting pressure on a 2-week relationship at this point? First of all, I mean, you shouldn't even be with a married man. But now we're going on 3 weeks of a relationship that you are putting conditions on to this man that you've spent 30 years not knowing. Now, all of a sudden, after 3 weeks, you're supposed to give up your whole family for her. I mean, come on. And at what point do we consider Nicole Kessinger responsible for some of this chaos that went on? You know, it was Chris's responsibility as a husband to not cheat on his wife, and I'll agree with that 100%. But Nicole Kessinger should be responsible also for taking away the dignity, or what little bit of dignity was left in their marriage. If it had not been for her,
Oh, I
I
kind
don't
of
know.
disagree with that. I say it's full blown Chris Watts. I'm going to say she did not know his wife. She owed her nothing.
No, she didn't know her a thing.
But you've got a man saying, I want to be with you. I'm separated from my wife. She thinks they're separated.
Yeah,
So
she's
in
only
her
going
mind,
off what he said.
in her mind, he's hers.
Yes.
Okay, granted it's 2 weeks, whatever.
Right, right.
He's hers. So you're leaving me to go take care of your wife that's about to be your ex-wife.
Right.
So I get that, even though she shouldn't have been with a married man to begin with. Don't ever trust these men that are still married.
Right. Agreed.
But that's fully Chris.
No, I agree. But I will
Because
say this.
She didn't know he was going to eventually kill his family
Well, we
for
don't know.
whatever.
That's still debatable, and that's still questionable. And there's people in the true crime community that is calling for her to be reinvestigated.
Well, I'm saying at this point.
Yes.
At this point,
Yes.
this was not, I'm sure that wasn't the plan. Because first of all, if a man's going to tell you in 2 weeks, I want to be with you, so I'm going to kill my family and get rid of them. Okay.
Right.
Come on.
Well,
but what I'm saying is at this point, she owed nothing. She thought he was hers.
No, I agree.
So no blame should go on her for that. He's the one that owed all of that to his family and cheating on his family to be with this woman.
I just feel like at some point she needs to be held responsible for her actions. Knowing the knowledge she had, she needs to hold the bag for some of this because it gets worse. Because as we move on to this, we're going to find that all of these text messages.
Well, I'm just talking about for right now.
Yeah. All of these text messages that they're sending back and forth during this time, and we'll get there. Nicole Kessinger deletes every single text between her and Chris.
But at this point, 2 or 3 weeks in, it's on him.
If at this point, listen, he's the one that made the commitment. I agree with that. But she needs to be responsible for her actions, okay? And listen, obviously, after 2 weeks, this guy's telling you, I'm in love with you and I'm hooked on you weird. And all this. Red flag, there's a problem, okay? So on July 7th, 2018, a first phone call is logged between Chris and Kessinger. July 10th, 2018, signs of tension begin to show in the Watts marriage, according to their text messages. On July 14th, 2018, Chris and Kessinger go on a date to a car museum. That afternoon, Shanann made 4 calls to her husband, which all went unanswered. On July 18th, 2018, Kessinger sends Chris semi-nude photos of herself, which he stores on a secret calculator app on his phone. Watts told investigators that part of what drew him to Kessinger was the feeling that she was pursuing him instead of the other way around. He was feeling real manly.
Oh, he needs to feel special.
He needs to feel cute.
His wife's at home taking care of the family and the house, but God knows she needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, you know, Chris has the need to feel cute and wanted.
Well, I mean, everyone needs to feel wanted, but come on, man. Okay.
I mean, really. I mean,
sometimes
when
you have to be an
when
adult.
You have kids, when you have kids, you feel wanted all the time. Maybe not by exactly who you're wanting, but someone wants you and needs you all the time.
Your body hurts because they're on top of you.
Yes. So you have to consider all of that. It's not like Shanann was like, I just don't want you anymore, Chris. Oh my God. By all accounts, from looking back at history of the things that she had texted him and things, she was still pursuing him sexually and, mentally. She was still pursuing him.
Yeah. So what more does he need?
So why, and everything that's new always seems to be better.
It's exciting.
But we all know that it's not always better. And in this case was traumatic. So on July 28, 2018, Chris and Kessinger visit the Great Sand Dunes National Park and spend the night at a nearby campground. July 30th, Chris gives Kessinger a love letter before leaving town to join his family on their summer vacation. So before I finish this little sentence of this texting, they're doing little trips, and I mean, really, he even says maybe he spent a couple of days at home during the 5 weeks that Shanann was gone. He never stayed at home unless he thought Shanann was going to lose her shit. And he had to show up at home just long enough to go in through the camera, the front door, because she could see what was going on at home. And then he'd sneak out probably through the garage or the back door to leave because they did not have cameras in those 2 areas, right? So he's sneaking around intentionally to cover these things up with Shanann.
But a new girl's not going to say, don't you want to spend some time with your kids?
Well, now supposedly, Nicole Kessinger would tell him, you need to go spend time with your kids and then you can call me, or it's more important to spend time with your kids. Now, these are from her interrogation records, but you can tell she seems a little bitter about that, but she sounds like she's his therapist. Like, I'm just here helping him out, because he needs a friend. Bitch, no. You're sending him semi nudes and nude pictures and having sex with him all the time.
She's very friendly.
You're not his therapist. You are his mistress. What are you doing? But no, but mind you, during all of this time going on, it wasn't very serious to her. Chris
Sure.
was serious, but she was still trying to figure it out. So
Okay. Sounds like it.
The inside of the letter contains lyrics to the song Down to Earth by the band Through the Roots. And this is continuous with Chris. Any kind of letter that he would write these cards to Nicole Kessinger, and it would be song lyrics after song lyrics. It would never be just a natural writing of how he felt about her. Every single letter or card would have song lyrics, almost as though he didn't know how to feel, but he could take the words out of a song and put them in the letter to kind of let her know, I guess, how he was feeling. I find that odd because, don't get me wrong, when I listen to music, maybe a song reminds me of somebody or kind of triggers feelings. I'm not going to buy my husband a card and then jot down song lyrics on the inside. I'm going to genuinely write out how I feel. So it makes me think maybe Chris Watts didn't even know how he felt.
I was just going to say that. I
Yeah.
think he just didn't know.
No, other than the chaos in his head. Right. And which,
Or maybe he didn't have those feelings.
I think he had
I
some
don't
kind of
know.
feelings. I just don't know what exactly they were.
I just have a hard time believing anyone has feelings that's going to do the things that he did.
That's the thing, especially your children.
Yeah. How do you even have feelings?
Yes, because your children invoke the deepest, purest love that you ever have. So then if you think about that, and then you think about what he did versus how he says he cared for Nicole, you're like, do you even know what you feel? Because your children, listen, there's things I've done for my children that I would not do for anybody else in the world. They invoked such a reaction to my body to take care of a situation, but I wouldn't do that for just anybody. But it's the deep, deep love that I feel for them, right? That nobody else could make me feel that way.
Right. So do you even have feelings if you can do that?
If you do that to your children, do you even have feelings at all? And that's, again, we go back to that's the question to this whole thing. Okay, so on July 31st, 2018, Chris flies to North Carolina for the final week of his family's vacation. His and Shanann's reunion does not appear to be happy, according to a copy of a text Shanann sent to Chris, which she later forwarded to a friend. Weld County DA, August 4th, 2018 at 12:45 a.m. Shanann sends her husband a long text message accusing him of failing to stand up for her after his parents exposed their daughter Celeste to nuts, which she was allergic to. Weld County DA also found this text. In the text, Shanann also tells Chris that he hasn't shown any signs of missing her in the weeks they have been apart. Watts later told investigators that he should have ended things with Kessinger and focused on his family after learning about the peanut fight, which he referred to as Nutgate, which honestly, it is a Nutgate. It was crazy. Later that day, Shanann appears to have had a fight with her in-laws, which prompted them to skip Celeste's birthday party that summer. Watts later told investigators that he believes he may have killed his wife and kids due to pent-up anger he harbored toward Shanann for what he described as driving a wedge between him and his family. Feelings, he said, dated back to the beginning of their relationship. On August 4th, 2018, while Chris is away, Kessinger searches for wedding dresses on the internet for over 2 hours, according to a review of her cell phone data.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So here we are, 3.5 weeks in, something like that. I don't know, 20 days.
Well, it was June, so we're
Yeah.
talking, I don't know, a month and a half,
A month and a
maybe.
half. Let's say 6 weeks.
You know, because that's normal. That's what you do, right?
And she's already at
With a
this
married
point
man.
with a married
He
man.
can't even marry her.
She went on vacation with her kids and he flew out to meet her. At what point, and this is why I get so angry about the Nicole Kessinger situation, at what point did she not realize, hey, they're not separated at all?
Okay, and I don't remember some of this because I kind of stay away from it a little bit, but I have to ask, what did he tell her he was doing that?
Flying out there to meet
So he
Shanann.
was honest with her.
Yes, she knew that. And we'll probably read this later on down in this report, but she told him, why don't you just work it out with her? Just fly down there and make it work, and don't call me, and just see
Then
what you can
don't shop
do
for wedding dresses.
to make it, and don't send him nude photos while he's there.
Well, I mean, you always send nude photos. Keep the man going a little.
So it's hard to even be any type of supportive to Nicole Kessinger.
Oh no, I have no sympathy.
Yeah,
I was just saying in the beginning, you can't blame her for anything.
Well, no, because you don't know to what extent he's telling her things. And I get all of that. Right.
But if he's like upfront and honest, like, man, I'm going to meet my family on vacation. And she's like, okay, honey, I'm going to shop for wedding dresses while you're gone. At some point, you're like, sweetie, maybe go talk to someone.
Yes. But this is the thing. She has not yet told anybody about Chris Watts, not even her friends at this point. Nobody knows. And sometimes the things that we keep to ourselves is the things that we make the worst decisions on. Because
because people, you're inside yourself. That's why you have friends to kind of bounce things off of. And they're like,
yes,
what the hell is wrong with you?
Don't you see? This guy's not leaving his wife. He's not right. But she chose not to because she was embarrassed that he was married. Well, he wasn't her first married man either. So she's like, well,
is just a
we'll just kind of wait and see if he leaves his wife before I start introducing him. I mean, because my friends know I'm a hoe.
I would like to know how many times has a woman been let down saying that they were waiting on the man to leave their wife? I'm going to say that's a huge percentage.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Nicole Kessinger should have just stepped down respectively and just let him do his thing. But she didn't. And so by August 7th, 2018, Shanann confides in friends about her problems with her husband. He has changed. I don't know who he is. Shanann can be seen texting. He hasn't touched me all week, kissed me, talked to me, except for when I'm trying to figure out what is wrong. Addie, I have no idea what happened, she later added. Shanann tells a friend on August 9, 2018, that Chris Watts went to her ultrasound but was cold to her, so she decided to cancel the baby's gender reveal party, which was coming up that Saturday.
That's sad.
August 9, 2018, Shanann leaves her business trip to Arizona. On the way there, she tells a friend that she had her best talk yet with Chris the night before. So when she leaves to go to Arizona, her and Chris, I guess, kind of buried the hatchet, if you want to say that. And he made her feel a little more secure than he had in the past. Because at this point, he's done relayed to her he doesn't want the baby. He doesn't want to move forward. They're not compatible anymore. He doesn't love her anymore. And so this has been going on for weeks. And so before she flies off to Arizona, he kind of entertains her a little bit with, maybe a little hope. My thinking is he was doing that because he knew when she came back what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was a snap decision. that this just happened like a snap of the finger. I literally think he premeditated this. Personally. August 9, 2018, Shanann texts a friend a handwritten letter she drafted to give to her husband, in which she says she doesn't know how they fell out of compatibility, quoting him. August 11th, 2018, Chris hires a babysitter, saying he's going to a Colorado Rockies game with his coworkers. In fact, he is taking Kessinger on a date to a sports bar in Erie, Colorado. He's not going to a Rockies game with coworkers. That's a lie he made up. Shanann's in Arizona. He's a single man again, but now he has two girls, two children. And so he hires a babysitter to come over while he goes on a date with Kessinger.
Yeah.
So on August 12th, 2018, Shanann sends a friend a draft of a speech she plans to give to her husband when she returns to Colorado for the next day. On August 13th, 2018, at 1:48 a.m., a neighbor's surveillance camera captures Shanann returning home from her business trip from Arizona. Chris told investigators he was sleeping when his wife came home. He said she initiated sex and then they went to bed. And I don't know. I question the sex thing, and I've listened to the interrogation of Chris several times, and there's a part of me that sometimes I know he's lying, but he has never deviated from having sex with her the morning that he kills her. And listen, they had supposedly not had sex since before the trip that she took, okay? Which now you're going on 6 weeks. Okay, because he wouldn't touch her when he got to North Carolina. She made that perfectly clear in a lot of texts she sent her friends. So why now all of a sudden is he interested for one more go?
Because it'll never happen again.
Yeah, but he don't give a shit though.
What? Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He can get laid one last time by the
So
wife he's about to take out.
I just wonder if
He
that's
has no feelings, though,
yeah, he has no feelings.
at all whatsoever about anyone.
He even says that that act that he had with his wife that morning felt odd and very weird.
Well, I have a feeling sex with Chris Watts would always feel odd and very weird.
And he felt like he was cheating on Nicole Kessinger.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I'm just saying, why not?
I mean,
You're
please.
about to do the unspeakable. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
you do it?
So later that morning, Chris and Shanann get into an argument. Now, I'm going to back up because I'm not sure it's an argument the way I think of an argument, because I've been in some arguments. Okay. I think that it was a discussion that became, as he would say, emotional. I think it was full of tension. It was full of pain, anger, disappointment, and a lot of tears. But I think all of that came from Shanann, not from Chris.
Again, no feelings.
No feelings. Yet he gets on TV and wants everybody to think that both of them cried through that. No, I don't think you did. Okay. I think that you were cold, and that's what made her drop her guard from you and just start crying, because she's not used to this from Chris. He's typically very sensitive. He cares about how she feels. And now all of a sudden he has literally abandoned her emotions completely. As a husband, he could give a crap less how she feels. He don't care about her. He don't care about those girls. All he cares about is Nicole Kessinger at this point. He told investigators his wife accused him of cheating. He snapped and then he strangled her to death. According to Chris, the noise of the fight wakes Bella up and she enters the bedroom and asks, "What's wrong with mommy?" According to Chris, Bella watches as he wraps his wife's body in a sheet and drags it out to his truck. On August 13th, 2018, at 5:27 a.m., surveillance footage shows Watts loading up his work truck and leaving home. Chris later tells investigators both girls sat on the bench seat of his truck as he drove out to an oil site where he works to dump Shanann's body. At the oil fields, Chris smothers his daughters with a blanket before dropping their bodies into two separate oil tanks. And, can we just talk about how cold that is? Cece had a Yankees blanket, I believe it was, and that's what she carried with her everywhere. And he took that blanket and he started with Cece first. To my understanding, and from what is said, she didn't fight much. And he goes back later and says that he had tried to get rid of them in the house. And he thought that he had finished it, and then they woke back up. There's a part of me that thinks Cece maybe never recovered from that, but Bella did. So I think that Cece, she was first, and he claims it was very easy to smother her to death. And he takes her up and walks her up the flight of stairs and dumps her in that first tank. He comes back to Bella and she asks him, "Are you going to do to me what you just did to Cece?" And he says, "I can't remember if I answered her, if I was just a monster and said nothing. I don't know."
He probably said nothing.
Probably said nothing. And he took that Yankees blanket, the same one that he used on Cece, and he smothered her. Now, mind you, Bella struggled the most. That poor baby suffered tremendously. She bit her tongue several times. She had a hole in her lip where he had smashed and pressed to block her airways. And then, after that, he took her and dumped her in the second oil tank. How horrific that baby watched her baby sister die. And she knew that it was coming for her. And the man she trusted the most literally snuffed her out. It horrifies me. And mind you, they drove an hour out to the site with their dead mom at their feet.
Yeah.
So what was that poor angel going through while driving out there? She had to be, those little innocent souls can read stress and things from other people, the energies that elude other people. She had to know something wasn't right with her father. And it just angers me that sweet baby had to go through that. It's just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. So it should be noted that until his November 2018 trial, Chris had maintained that his wife killed their daughters. Only after his conviction, also in November, did Chris detail to investigators how he also killed Bella and Celeste. On August 13th, 2018 at 10:10 a.m., after disposing of the bodies of his wife and daughters, Chris looks up the lyrics of a Metallica song, Battery, which has a line, "Cannot kill the family." The song contains the lyrics, "Smashing through the boundaries, lunacy has found me, cannot stop the battery, pounding out aggression, turns into obsession, cannot kill the battery, cannot kill the family." Mind you, Nicole Kessinger sent him a text message asking him to look that song up as he's leaving these oil batteries. Okay, that text message was recovered. She asked him to look that song up. How odd is that? How odd is that? Is that if that's not the biggest coincidence, then I don't know what that is.
No, because it looks like that was a conversation and she knew it was going to happen.
Right. So, things that make you go, right? If you want to say that she has really bad luck, I guess you could say that, but that's really odd to me. So in an interview with investigators in February 2019, after he was sentenced, Chris said he was looking up the lyrics to the song because Kessinger liked it and asked him what it meant.
Oh, please.
what it means. Why are you asking someone what the song means? Google it. Why are you asking this man that's leaving the oil batteries that he just dumped his kids off in at 7:20 in the morning? Why are you asking him what that means? That is, again, she either has the worst luck in the world or she knows what happened. Right?
Yeah.
So August 13th, 2018 at 12:27 p.m., Watts realtor texts the couple and Chris chats with her about the current state of their home and what they're looking for in a new house. So Chris Watts, now his wife's gone. He's gotten rid of everybody and he's in contact with the realtor, right? Because it's time. He's got things to do, places to go, and people to see. He ain't got time to waste on this no more. So at one point, the realtor questions why Shanann hasn't weighed in on their conversation. She hasn't been around all day, Chris responds. It's very odd because he has no clue.
That is very odd.
I mean, it's very odd. I mean, because Shanann was always on her phone. So anybody that knew Shanann wasn't responding within probably 3 to 5 minutes thought, man, Shanann must be down. She must be sick. That just wasn't normal. Even the realtor knew that. Okay. So on August 13th, 2018 at 1:40 p.m., Shanann's friend Nicole Atkinson reports her missing when she can't get a hold of her. Atkinson told the police at the time she went to the Watts home, saw Shanann's car in the garage, and found it suspicious when no one answered the door. When Chris spoke to the police that day, he said his wife told him she was taking the girls to a friend's house, but didn't specify which friend. After looking through the house, a neighbor invites Chris and a police officer to his property to review his home surveillance footage, which disproves Chris's story that his wife left with the girls while he was at work. So, look, the odd part is of this whole thing. I'm going to go back. Nicole Kessinger's phone pinged in Frederick, Colorado that morning, around the same time that Chris is getting his children and his wife out of the house after he murdered them.
So was she there?
She lived about 30 miles north of Frederick, Colorado.
Right.
But the police never questioned her more about why her phone was pinging there.
Sounds like she was there.
Okay. And where they worked, it was kind of between their homes, so it's not like she needed to go through Frederick to get to work, which, mind you, she didn't show up to work that day till around 1:30, 2 o'clock. So yeah, why Nicole Kessinger's phone pinged in Frederick, Colorado that early in the morning? Everybody scratches their head on that. I've seen some Reddit posts that supposedly Nicole Kessinger's stepsister has been on there saying that Nicole Kessinger didn't want anybody to know because it was embarrassing, but that Nicole Kessinger left home early that morning to drive by to check on Chris to make sure he wasn't spending the day with his wife since she came home from her business trip. So she was just doing a drive-by, but she didn't want everybody to know she was doing that because that was embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing, Nicole Kessinger. Everything about your story is embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's the least embarrassing thing. I would be willing to go out and clean my name up and tell people that just so no one thought I was a part of this traumatic situation to happen to this family. I would want to clear my name on that.
Yeah, look crazy. If you weren't there and you didn't help him do it, then look crazy and say you were
Yes.
stalking him to find out if he was with his wife.
Yes, right? I mean, to me, that makes more sense. Listen, I wouldn't do what you're doing, but I'd go, okay, I get it. You know what? That makes sense to me. But the fact that you're hiding it and not bringing that to the forefront and not speaking to the public to get your story out there is what blows my mind, because yeah, people want to eat you up. Everybody's like a pack of wolves looking for you. Absolutely. If you had nothing to do with it and Chris is solely responsible, so be it. People just want you to come out and clear your name. And if the Frederick Police Department and the DA doesn't want to clear your name, why don't you do it? It's time. If you're not guilty, it's time. So on August 14th, 2018, in the afternoon, Chris appears on Denver 7 to talk about his wife and daughter's disappearance. At one point, he says, Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. If somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
Okay.
Knowing what we know now, that was a lie.
Well,
Okay.
clearly.
Seriously.
And I'm pretty sure it wasn't completely empty. You can't tell me it was. Pretty sure his girlfriend was there.
Yeah. Highly probable. And this is the thing. You knew from the get-go, and you were ballsy enough and thought you were smart enough to stand up there and beg and plead for them to come back, knowing they weren't going to come back. And I can remember when that went out on the airwaves, watching that and thinking, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, I know.
Something's not right with this guy. Me and my work friend, we're watching it and we're like, what in the heck is going on? This guy's involved. He threw himself right under that bus, buddy. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. He did himself no favors. Now, when people talk to him about, have you seen how you were acting that day? What do you think about that? He's like, he doesn't remember it. He's never seen it and says he never wants to see it. What he looked like that day.
They should make him watch it.
I think they should make him watch it. I think they should put it on a loop and let him hear his own words of all the lies.
I think they should put his daughter's voice and videos
Yes.
on a loop. You should pay for that like you're in hell for the rest of your life.
Well, listen. He keeps pictures of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste.
Oh, I know he does, but he
there.
needs videos playing
Yes.
at all times.
And he gets angry because people are demanding for the prison to make him take those down. And he's so appalled. Why would anybody want to hurt me like that? What? Why would anybody want to hurt you like that? You do not deserve to have your victims' pictures hanging up in your cell. Yes, that's your two daughters and your wife, or they were your two daughters and wife.
You didn't want them. You got rid of them.
But they are your victims. Let's be honest. Jeffrey Dahmer was not allowed to have his victims' pictures hanging up in his cell. Okay? That would not be allowed. So I agree when the public says Chris Watts should not have his family's pictures of the victims that he destroyed in his cell. I don't care what relation they were to him. He destroyed them. He wouldn't have to look at them on a picture if he had not destroyed them. So fuck off, Chris Watts. I think just to hurt him, we should take the pictures out of his cell. That's my personal opinion. I do not think he should ever be able to see their face again. Now, to hear their voice and things that probably would haunt him, yes, I agree with that. But to be able to look at them and read the Bible to them and read them nighttime stories and look at them and he thinks he's interacting with them, no, I think that is horrific. And if that was my daughter and my grandchildren, oh my God, I would be so livid. I would be so livid over that. So on August 15th, 2018, in the evening, after police discovers Chris Watts has a mistress and he fails a lie detector test, he admits to strangling his wife and burying her in a shallow grave at an oil site. At the time, he refused to take responsibility for the deaths of his daughters, saying Shanann smothered them. On this very same day, Chris's mistress, Nicole Kessinger, and her father go to the investigators and admits the affair, but not before erasing all texts and contact with Chris Watts from her phone. Now, I'm a huge Zawoki fan, and I have watched all of his videos on Nicole Kessinger. His videos concentrate on trying to confirm that NK is guilty of helping with this crime. And I must say that I have always left this theory as a huge possibility. I don't hang my hat on it, but I also don't abandon the thought that she might be either. There's too many gaps and too many loopholes that the DA left open and that the investigation left open to close those holes on the questions that the public have. Okay. And maybe that's not Nicole Kessinger's fault. Maybe that's our judicial system's fault. Nicole Kessinger has the freedom to step up and tell her story, though, also. And if the wolves come knocking, just be ready, because sometimes that's the price you pay when you make decisions the way you made them. But you know what? I promise you, once you're honest and you're transparent, this will go away. People just want to know the truth. But until this recent video that Zawoki dropped, it made me think a little bit more on, okay, this kind of turned my thinking a little more to it making sense that Nicole Kessinger could be guilty. And I'll leave the thumbnail up here so you guys can see it. Go check Zawoki out. He is really great. He has taken the Chris Watts videos to a different level. And what he does is commentary for different videos. He seeks justice for Shanann, Nico, Bella, and Cece. And he really does think that Nicole is involved, but he does state over and over again, if she's not involved, let's get her cleared. But we want 100% justice for all of these victims. And if Chris didn't do this on his own, then we need to bring justice to whoever was involved. And I agree that. But we'll put the thumbnail up here for you. Go check Zawoki out. He has some great videos. He's very caring. He really cares about this case, and he really cares about all the cases that he speaks about. So go check him out. Give him a like, a subscribe, and leave a comment. He's a great guy. He really does good work. So with that being said, it breaks down her interrogation on this video that he does and some statements where she contradicts herself within minutes of saying them. It's pretty much summed up my speculation that she is definitely involved. I mean, where I would always scratch my head and kind of just think about it, but not come to the conclusion, this specific video made me think, she's literally throwing herself under the bus. So what blows my mind is that the detective did not even catch it or even seem to care. Possibly because her father was there navigating the questions. I mean, first of all, her father should have never been in the interrogation.
No, she's an adult.
Yes. And he's telling the investigator, stop leading. Dude, are you her attorney? If not, get the F out of my office. Like, you have no business being here. But they entertained him with that. And I don't care who her dad is. He had no business being there. She's not a minor. She needs to do this on her own. Listen, her daddy wasn't sitting in the room when her and Chris Watts was knocking boots, right? So why the hell is her daddy sitting in there while the cop's asking her questions? That's what I want to know.
Because obviously she's not smart enough to take care of it herself.
Obviously.
She obviously made horrible decisions.
Obviously. And daddy was always there to bail her out. So here we are. Okay, guys. So I'll cut that, commentary off about her dad because it just infuriates me. But go check out Zawoki's video. I'm going to link it here. And as he says, show him some love. He's trying to hit that 100K and he deserves it. So let's go show him some love. So on August 15, 2018 at 11:30 p.m. later that night, after his confession to the murder, Chris Watts is arrested on suspicion of 3 first-degree murder charges and 3 charges of tampering with a deceased human body. So on August 16, 2018, in the afternoon, Shanann Watts' body is discovered in a shallow grave near this oil site. The bodies of the girls were found in the 2 oil tanks on this oil site, which is called Survey 319. On August 21st, 2018, Shanann's family appears in court as Chris is arraigned, which is heartbreaking to watch Shanann's family. It absolutely rips my heart out of my chest to watch her mom, her dad, and her brother. They literally lost everybody in their family.
Yeah.
Chris just completely wiped them off. Everything they ever knew, including Chris, because they loved him. They thought he was the best dad and husband ever. Just literally everybody's gone, with one fell swoop. And it's so heartbreaking to watch that. So November 6, 2018, Chris Watts pleads guilty to all 9 counts against him. In pleading guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, Chris Watts negated his initial story that his wife killed their daughters and assumed responsibility for killing all 3 himself, which, good for him, I guess, if you want to say that, because in the beginning, he only wanted to take responsibility for Shanann, but that's only because he was telling the police that she killed the girls first.
So he wanted to look like the hero, like, oh, I took care of the person that killed my children.
Yeah, he wanted the judicial system to be lenient on him, as though it was like he was helping the situation, or he got so angry he lost control.
Well, that's who he wants everyone to think he is anyway.
Well, he didn't want anybody to think of him as a bad guy.
Which he is.
Dude, you're the worst. Like, at this point, it doesn't even matter. Did you care what other people thought? Because look what you did. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So 2 additional murder charges were added because the children were under the ages of 12. He also pleaded guilty to 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body and 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy. And that's one thing. Nico needs to be recognized in all of this too. Though his little sweet spirit never made it here on earth, he is part of the quadruple murder.
Yeah.
100%. Nico's life and his grandparents experiencing him and loving him, all of that was taken away because Chris was having an affair at the end of the day.
He's a selfish dirtbag.
Yes. And he did not take any of that into account. He was just out of his mind. On November 15th, 2018, Kessinger speaks out in an interview with the Denver Post. In the interview, Kessinger said Chris Watts told her he was separating from his wife and that she never knew that Shanann Watts was pregnant. He lied about everything, she said. You're a liar. Okay, you are a liar because in some of the text messages that were recovered from the police, you told your best friend Charlotte that you knew he was married and you were worried that you would never be the first of anything for him. He already had kids, he'd already been married, and that you'd never be the first. So you're a liar. Stop lying. Nobody wants to hear it. Stop lying. You're embarrassing yourself, okay? So on November 19th, 2018, Chris is sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. And yay for that. Good deal. Okay. The only thing that pisses me off is there are certain crimes that are committed that I think automatically, without a shadow of a doubt, should be death penalty, period. And I think this needs to be in all 50 states in the United States. And one of them is when you kill people with the knowledge, intentionally want to kill them. You should not be given a plea deal.
No.
And you should not be given life.
No.
I believe an eye for an eye. You should be taken off of this earth. And none of this shit waiting 10 to 15, 20 years. Okay? We ain't got time for that. Nobody wants to waste their time, their money, and their energy feeding you. Let's just be done. Because you did not extend that courtesy to the people that you took off the earth. The people that loved you the most, Chris Watts, you completely removed them from this earth. If you didn't want them, I'm sure all you needed to do was call the Rusek family and they would have flown down, picked up your daughters, Shanann and Nico, brought their stuff home, and they could have lived with them in North Carolina. And I'm sure they would have never said a word. Okay? They would have
Just
been fine with
leave.
that. Just leave. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, I'll never get it.
On February 18th, 2019, Chris speaks to 3 investigators at the federal prison where he is serving his sentence and finally tells them the whole story of how he killed his wife and kids. And I don't know if it's the whole story. I mean, let's be honest. This guy's a liar.
Well, he hasn't told anything so far, so why believe anything he says now?
I mean, he tells stories, but he had a lady write a book. And I won't say her name on here because I don't want to be responsible, but he told a story to her and then he turns around and he tells this story to them. So nobody's ever going to know the truth. But Chris Watts also likes to say that not everybody needs to know everything. That was my family. Okay.
That you didn't want and you discarded like trash.
Yes. And you know what?
So no, it wasn't your family.
No, right? It was the Rusek family.
And her family needs to, they deserve to know.
And we don't even want to get started on the Watts family.
Geez.
We don't even want to get started on the things that they talked about Shanann. We won't even go there. I won't even extend the courtesy of speaking them, but that's another thing. But I don't think that Chris ever told the full truth.
No.
And he did say that there are things that happen that he will never, ever tell anybody, and he'll take it to the grave. This is what I will say. If Chris doesn't want to share that with the public, that's fine. I'll give you that. You don't want to share it with the public. But you do owe that to Shanann's family. You don't even owe that to your family. You owe that to Shanann's mom and dad and her brother. They need to know. I'm not sure it would help them heal, but they need to know what was their daughter's last words and what she was thinking. They need to know that. You owe that to them. You may not owe that to the world. You owe that to the Ruseks. Period. And I think it should happen. I think that the judge, when he admitted the plea deal, he should have forced Chris, the only way I'm going to give you this plea deal, or the prosecuting attorney, the only way I'm going to allow or go forth with this plea deal is if you, in private, sit down with Shanann's family and tell them what happened that night.
He wouldn't tell them the truth anyway.
No, but I think that at some point
he says
needs
is going to be the truth.
Right. But I think they need to be forced to speak. And I understand if they are a psychopath or whatever, they play with the minds. I think the families are willing to accept that. I think they just want to hear from it. I think they want to hear from the person that did it. And then they can walk away and reconcile what they need to reconcile, is what I think. So on October 6, 2020, Chris Watts has moved to Dodge Correctional Facility in Wisconsin. It was reported that Watts received an influx of letters from women since the Netflix documentary came out. He got a lot of letters at first, a source who has spoken with Watts in jail told People. Many of them are from women who thought he was handsome and felt compassion for him.
Just because they're handsome does not mean they deserve compassion. What is wrong with people?
I mean, he ain't even that handsome.
No, I'm just saying, even if you think he is. He literally killed his pregnant wife and their 2 children. Oh, but he's just so handsome. Who gives a
I know.
What is wrong with you?
Doesn't it blow your mind?
There are so many people that need to be in counseling.
Yes. It is crazy to me. He admitted to doing it.
That right there should completely make you sick to your stomach over anyone.
It makes
yes. What is wrong with people?
But these women are just all about Chris, you know? I mean, there's no man that looks so good that I'd be able to just forfeit that, what he did, because he's so handsome. No. As a matter of fact, you're not even handsome anymore, you loser. Like, what the hell? Well, he had nothing better to do. So Chris had nothing better to do. So he wrote all these women back. I mean, of course, because
he's a nice guy.
He's so lonely in prison.
So sweet. So nice. So handsome.
I'm sure
He
he
would
needed it.
literally get out and kill you if you got pregnant. So you might as well just
He'd
hang
smother
it
you
up.
to death. I mean, or strangle you to death. I mean, what the hell? He also started having pen pals. A couple of them stood out, and they've kept in contact.
No, well,
Isn't that
that's
nice?
nice.
Everybody needs a Chris Watts in their life, right?
Well, of course.
So on October 8th, 2020, meanwhile, Chris Watts' parents, Ronnie and Cindy Watts, tell Son that they still love their son despite what he did. Ronnie told the son that they regularly speak with him and he is heartbroken and has become religious. Cindy says there's not one day that goes by that she doesn't think about what her son did to her daughter-in-law and grandchildren. I go to sleep with them on my mind. I will never, ever get over this. It is something that stays with you, Cindy said. And I agree with her. I can't even imagine speaking to my son in a normal tone if he had done that. Ever for the rest of his life.
I think it would be hard for me to even speak to him.
Yes.
Because, like, who are you? Who did I raise?
Because I know that it was hard. They didn't, I mean, supposedly he was the perfect teenager, the perfect son.
Well, he still is.
Yes.
He's handsome and sweet.
He's quiet and he's nice. And then you wake up one day and he's murdered his whole family. So I can understand a parent trying to reconcile that, like what went wrong and where did this happen? Because when you love somebody, sometimes you don't see their faults. But that doesn't mean that you're going to support them, right?
Like, who are you?
And listen, they weren't Shanann fans. Everybody knows this in the true crime community. But 3 of their grandchildren are gone.
It's not even about that at that point.
No.
She literally had your grandchildren. So let it go.
She did not deserve that.
But
period.
What flipped the switch? How did he go literally from one person to another? What flipped the switch? It couldn't be this wonderful Nicole Kessinger. I'm sorry. I just don't.
No, I think she triggered something. I think that he has mental health, obviously, mental health issues.
Yeah.
And that were just undiagnosed. And because, and I'm going to be honest, I wonder if he doesn't have some autism going on just because he seems socially awkward in the way that he carries himself. But that's not an excuse. There's a lot of people walking around out there with autism that don't take out their whole family. And I don't blame his family for him doing that. I just think that they were very distasteful, the Watts family, after the death of Shanann and those grandbabies, on some of the things that they said.
I agree.
And the Ruseks did not deserve that, and neither did Shanann. So that's my take on that. But on May 13th, 2022, Shanann's parents tell CBS 4 they continue to be relentlessly targeted by conspiracy theorists on popular websites sites like YouTube. Frank and Sandy Rusek and their son Frankie tell CBS 4 they have been physically, emotionally, and financially exhausted by unfounded claims by conspiracy theorists who believe they played a role in their family's murders in Colorado. People, stop it. That is the most ridiculous mess I've ever heard. And, really, it's gotten to the point that victims' families are targeted after murders of their family members. And I don't understand it. Our world's become a reverse world where we used to coddle these people and kind of lift them up and help them in a situation and be morally and mentally supportive. Now people they love to see you down and they just want to keep kicking you and kicking you. They don't want you back up. And I do not understand that whatsoever.
Yeah, they're already hurting. They don't need any of that.
No, absolutely not. I think it's absurd. But there's a consensus with some of these true crime fans, if you want to call them that they root for the bad guy and they just want to taunt the victims and keep them down. And that's evil.
It is.
That is 100% evil. And I cannot stand it. It blows my mind. So we've been still very sad and upset, said Frank Ruzek, Shanann Watts' father. It is terrible what we have to go through with social media threatening us. In an exclusive interview with CBS 4, Dylan Thomas, Ruzek said the online attacks from around the globe have not slowed pace since Chris Watts originally told investigators that his wife killed Bella and Celeste Watts, causing him to snap and kill Shanann. And see, this is what people were all angry about. Well, even if you go after the Rusek family, they have nothing to do if Shanann had done that to her girls, which she did not. They have nothing to do with that. Why are you taunting them? Right? But man, people, leave these people alone. Don't do this. Like, if you can't handle being a decent person after watching these, get off YouTube. Get off of social media. Quit watching true crime because that's evil. Stop. I cannot believe it. It blows my mind. It is a nightmare every day. It doesn't go away, Rusek said. You can't live. The Ruseks say that they and other victims associated with the crimes of 2018 have been slandered and defamed by conspiracy theorists. We've had threats on our lives, Rusek said. So
That's heartbreaking.
And I know that it still goes on somewhat from what I gather. And I think it's so sad because their whole life has changed forever for the rest of their time here on earth. And I can't even imagine the gaping hole in their heart all the time.
Yeah.
How they view the world, how they view people.
Makes you not be able to trust anyone because they
No.
trusted him.
And everything's warped now.
Yeah.
Right? The world that they used to feel safe and comfortable in it doesn't even exist for them.
Yeah.
And the Watts family, and Chris had a sister and his parents, I'm sure it's the same way for them. It's warped because they lost their grandchildren too, and their son in their own way, even though he's still sitting in prison and he can call them. And the life that they knew before, it doesn't exist either.
No.
And I think that over time, the Watts family has slowly come to the realization that Chris did this on his own, and that it's horrific and that he's a monster. I think over time they've figured that out because they've asked him questions about it. Now, do they think that Nicole Kessinger had anything to do with it? They've never spoke on that. I feel that the Rusek family seems like they're at peace with feeling like Chris is the only one that did it. And that's fine. With Nicole Kessinger, she needs to come out of hiding. Stop living in fear. That's your first problem. And second of all, do your own thing to clear your name. If you are not involved, step out there, tell the truth. Stand in your truth, girl. Stand in the truth if you were not involved. If you were involved, just go turn yourself in, let the cops know, and go ahead and serve your time because you're never going to live a normal life at this point. It's over, right?
Yeah.
So, but ladies, I know that I've said this before. I'm going to drive it home. I'm going to say it again. If you are with a man who starts shifting and changing and shows you that he hates you, shows you he doesn't love you anymore, or tells you that he doesn't love you anymore, do not stay. Get out.
Yeah. Love yourself more.
Yeah, get out. It's just not worth it because you don't know. Even if you think they would never do it, I bet you if you sat down and talked to Shanann Watts today, she would tell you, I never thought I wouldn't be here with my babies. Get out. So use her as an example. So if you feel that hair stand up on the back of your neck, you get goosebumps, you wake up and your husband's standing over you, watching you while you're sleeping, or he's across the room watching you while you're sleeping, or he's ignoring you, or he won't answer your texts on purpose, or he says things vindictive to hurt you, it's time to get out. Just go. Just Don't waste your time. So that's how I feel about that. Do you have anything to say?
No, I'm just heartbroken.
Yeah,
This story kind of does something to me. I can't.
it's heavy.
Yeah, and I have a baby at home that has her favorite blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does.
And it just,
Hmm.
that's all I can think about. And it just rips me up. I just can't even.
Yeah,
Those are your babies.
I know. Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's really sad. But guys, let us know what you think. I know everybody has their opinion on this story. Please weigh in at the bottom. We love to hear what you think. Um, if you could all just drop a purple heart just to show some respect for Shanann Watts. Purple was one of her favorite colors. And so just drop a purple heart. Let us know that you heard the story and let us know that that's your remembrance of Shanann. We'd love to see that. Also, drop a pink heart for little Cece and Bella, and drop a blue heart for Nico, just in memory of all three of them. So, guys, until the next episode, please remember to see the good and stay imperfectly perfect.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you.